Hello, welcome to Women in HR Leadership. Today we are with Livia Freudl. She is Senior Vice President HR, Head of People and Leadership at Siemens Healthineers. She has been in HR for over 15 years. She has a passion for people, leadership, and diversity. Hi, Livia.
Hi, Christian. Good morning.
Hello, good morning. Can you tell us a little bit about your career path?
Sure. So, I don't want to bore you with a lot of details of what I've done, but what I can tell you is I always did what I'm really, really passionate about. And you already said it, that was mainly functions in HR. And on the other side, always combining that with having the opportunity to develop people. So that is really a core of what was driving my career. Yeah, and at the same time, also, being curious and open-minded to see opportunities out there. And one of the ones that you've also heard of for sure is that I spent a lot of my time abroad. So I lived in China, worked in China, but also, for example, 4.5 years in the Middle East, which was really a life-changing experience for me, being there as head of HR for a country where I was the last person in the row for my function. So kind of confronted every day with big decisions that had major impacts also for people, really matured me a lot as a leader and as a person.
Wow. Yeah, maybe we can hear a little bit more about your experiences internationally. But tell us a little bit, how did you get to where you are now, and what were the main roadblocks you had to overcome?
Mhm. I mean, when I think about what got me here, I would really say it was mainly the openness for seeing opportunities and being open for new things. And I reflected a lot because you asked me before, what were the roadblocks? And I thought, what were really roadblocks I experienced? And I couldn't really recall any besides a lot from within. Yeah, so a lot of the roadblocks that I experienced were more coming from within myself. So, maybe feeling, oh, maybe I'm not ready, maybe I have to work harder, or sometimes even having very, very high ambitions and wanting to have everything very, very fast, and not having the patience to wait. So that were mainly the roadblocks. So what I did was early on focusing on having mentors, doing coaching, continuously developing myself, working on these topics. And until today, I have a network of people, peers, coaches, but also people, on very different levels with very different backgrounds that I ask for help and support and the other way around.
Wow. And what or who inspired you precisely?
I cannot really say that it was a particular person. I think, leaders, mentors, and coaches that really inspired me on my way were always people who helped me to connect to myself, to my real authentic self, because I truly believe that authenticity is a key topic as a leader to be able to truly connect with people. So these people have also inspired me.
Okay, thanks. And looking at the situation of women in HR leadership as a whole, I mean, when you talk to somebody who's not in the HR department, they would usually believe, well, HR is a very, very female-heavy
Mhm.
department and topic. But then if you really look into the numbers and into the details, you see that on the C level or the management level, there are actually very few females that actually work on also strategic topics. And there's still a lot of gaps in terms of salaries as well. So what are your personal observations on this topic,
Mhm.
on the current diversity landscape, and especially, of course, in HR?
Mhm. I mean, I think there are more and more CHROs that we see coming up, and that's a great development. I mean, there is research, that shows that even though we have more and more women in these roles, they need to be heard. Yeah? They need to participate in the strategic decisions that are there. And I think there we always get into the same issue. If you're very often the only woman in a leadership team, so you're a clear minority, it's very difficult that your voice is truly heard. Yeah, research shows that we need at least 30% to make sure that all, let's say, different groups are really properly heard. So there we have in many cases a long way to go. Looking at the pay gap, I mean, this needs to be a priority for all of us, but I think that's also not an HR issue. It's not a functional issue here. We have that all over the globe in all industries, and it's something that we have to prioritize all together. Yeah, so I think we move in the right direction. Do we have a way to go? Yes, in HR, but also in all other functions.
Okay, thanks. And in preparation of this interview, we found an interesting article from you.
Oh, really?
It's called My Diversity Journey, and it's about your experience in Qatar. And could you please share a little bit from these experiences, but also what action Siemens Healthineers are taking nowadays to promote diversity and female leadership, and how do you actually measure this?
So my time in Qatar was with Siemens, yes, and I'm with Siemens Healthineers. I shared a little bit before that this was an amazing experience, and mainly also because you don't just deep dive into one culture when you work in many countries in the Middle East. There are so many different cultures coming together in one place. So, for example, in my HR team at that time, I had nobody or not two people with the same nationality. Can you imagine that? Yeah, so everybody was coming from a different country. So leading a team of that diversity is a huge opportunity and can also be challenging at times. Yeah. So overall, this was an amazing experience in terms of the role, but also in terms of the diversity. When I look at what we do here at Siemens Healthineers, diversity and inclusion is an absolute top priority. Yeah, so we have set ourselves stretch goals in terms of women in leadership roles, particularly in senior management. But we also do understand that diversity is much more than gender. Yeah, so there are a lot of different criteria we look into. And we also know that without inclusion, this will all not help us, yeah, because we need to have an inclusive environment to ensure that people really feel this is a great place for me to be in. I am heard, I can be my true self here, and that we also as a company benefit from the value that diversity brings. Yeah, because this will then positively influence innovation, performance. We all know these studies, but inclusiveness is what we need for that.
And if other HR professionals were to ask you, hey, Livia, what can I do in my own company to make a difference? What would you recommend them?
Christian, you mean a difference in terms of diversity and inclusion?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, first of all, don't make it an HR topic. This is not an HR topic. Every leader, and particularly the top management, needs to make this a priority. And the second point is always start with yourself. Yeah, because we're all not perfect. And the most important thing is that we're all ready to question and challenge ourselves every day. Where do we support the status quo with the behavior that we show? Where are we not courageous enough? Where do we need to be more courageous to help changing things? And request feedback. I mean, I do that all the time. I tell my teams, please help me see where I have deficits. Where do I show in behavior that is not inclusive? Because only if we support each other seeing that, because most of the times people don't do that out of a bad intent, we can really help us moving.
Okay, thanks. Let's move on to another topic, COVID and challenges arising out of this pandemic. So the new normal of work is here. We are used to work at home nowadays, I guess most of the people. And what advice would you give parents, of course, especially women, also to cope with this new role? And how have you experienced this continuous home office has affected the work at Siemens Healthineers?
Mhm. I mean, there's a certain tendency to talk a lot about the challenges that we have with the pandemic, and they're, of course, reality and they're very true. I would just point out for a moment all the opportunities that came with that, because I see today a lot of companies, not only Siemens Healthineers, but all other companies too, having learned that it's possible that people are not physically together in an office and we can still be productive and effectively work together. So this is what it really brought us. It brought us the basis and the experience that flexibility is possible. So that's a great achievement, I would say. And it will help us along the way also to combine, different life phases and needs that we have as human beings, as well as companies, to bring that closer together.
Okay.
I found
Oh,
maybe if I just made a
yes.
last sentence on that, my own experience, of course, having young children was quite stressful and is quite stressful at times. And I think that's something that we shouldn't neglect. Also, as companies, we have a role to play here to support parents, but also other groups who have challenges in these phases. So we have really set up a lot of programs always locally because the situations are locally very different to ensure that we can support our employees. For example, in this case, parents with programs that help with childcare, while childcare wasn't possible in kindergartens and schools, and other programs like this.
Yeah, thank you. And I mean, you are a true role model for HR, I believe. And you're a new generation of HR leaders that think beyond HR, and being this role model to others that listen to you, what concrete advice can you give them for their own personal career development and leadership perspective?
Mhm.
The
And
females, of
Christian,
course, yeah.
thank you for this. I think really ensure that you truly believe in yourself. Yeah, that you stay connected to who you are and what you want, and support your own development in regards to that. See opportunities when they are there, grab them. Yeah, grab them, and ensure that at times where maybe things don't move as fast as you feel they should, keep the patience. Yeah, because sometimes we just want things extremely fast, and there is no problem in having a certain time also in careers where you can focus on, for example, your own development and learning, while not always moving up the ladder, for example.
And I'm always about skills. It's my
Mhm.
passion. So, of course, my last question to you is, what are the skills that these to be leaders in
Mhm.
HR and the
Mhm.
leaders in HR today need to have?
Mhm. For me, one of the key topics is you don't need to know it all, and you shouldn't need to know it all, because you have amazing people in your teams who know a lot and are very capable. So give them the room, empower them to be excellent in what they do, and see that as something to build on and not something to fight against, because somebody could potentially be stronger or know it better than you. So that's very important. You don't need to know it all. The second thing is focus on growing talent and yourself. Yeah. So, I mean, as leaders, we're also there to support our people on their growth journey. And at the same time, ensure that we always keep on learning and seeing, where we have to stretch ourselves. Yeah, and I think I said that before, right? I think authenticity and being human as a leader is key. So these would be my three.
Thank you very much, Livia. It was great talking to you. Thanks for your insights. And I hope you can inspire many along the way.
Thank you so much, Christian. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.